Hello, I'd like to introduce you to Lottie Loves Nature. It's by me, Jane Clarke, and it's illustrated by James Brown and put together by a whole team of lovely people at Five Quills Publishers. And Lottie Boffin is the sister of Owl from the Owl's Awesome Science book, and she absolutely loves nature. And she also now has a new pet. They still have the dog Einstein, but Lottie inherited from her great aunt Prue, who lived in South America, a rather special creature, a macaw. And in the stories, I'm afraid the macaw is just getting used to Einstein, but he's learnt to imitate how to woof. Woof, woof. And there's rather a lot of chaos goes on because next door to Lottie there is a family called the Parfits, a new family. The goods are on one side still, they like everything neat and tidy. Well, on the other side also, I'm afraid there is somebody who has changed his entire garden into a miniature golf course with artificial grass, and there is no wildlife allowed in that garden at all. So there's rather a lot of trouble that gets up to in the funny story that goes with the Lottie, but also an awful lot of wildlife facts because I love nature too. And when I was doing this book, I had a wonderful time doing a notebook and sticking things in, things that might be useful for the stories, and writing, of course, because I am a writer. There's lots of notes and things in here. But I get wildlife magazines because I'm a member of my local wildlife trust, and I cut things out and stick them in books and things like that. So you might like to do that, but you might also like to check with your grown-up to see if you're allowed. Now, Lottie really wants to be a wildlife presenter because she loves a wildlife show, and she loves one that is presented by Samira Breeze. So let us see what it is. It's called Every Little Thing, and it's this show that often sets Lottie off on her ideas for what she can do to help nature in her own house and in her own garden. Lottie Boffin lay on her tummy sketching an enormous spider. Her favourite wildlife show, Every Little Thing, was coming to an end. The presenter, Samira Breeze, smiled at the camera and announced, "Don't forget to send in your nature notes if you want to win a place on our annual wildlife adventure. The winners will have a chance to be a presenter like me." Fizzy bubbles of excitement whooshed through Lottie's body. She loved nature. It was her dream to win that prize. And remember, Sam continued, she is on the TV, you can help your local wildlife by creating a small pond in your garden from a recycled container, just like we showed you on this programme. Remember, every little thing matters. I can use a big old dustbin lid to make a pond, Lottie thought. That'll get frogs into my garden and make a great page in my nature notebook. I'll go and make one right now. And she jumped to her feet, startling her snoozing dog, Einstein. Woof! He barked in alarm. There was a flapping of bright red, blue and gold feathers and a great squawk. Lottie giggled. Her parrot always made her laugh. She had inherited Nacho from her great-aunt Prue, who had rehomed him from a rescue centre. And from the instant he first met Lottie, Nacho had decided that she was his new human being. Nacho folded his wings and opened his beak. Woof! Lottie groaned. Nacho did a very good imitation of Einstein, and he loved winding him up. Woof, woof, woof! Einstein retorted. It's a good thing the goods are on holiday, Lottie murmured. Their neighbours, the goods, didn't like noise at all. Shh, Lottie told Einstein. Shh, Nacho murmured to himself as Lottie found a doggy chew and made Einstein sit quietly for it. Now, who could she ask to help with a pond? Her best friend Philip had gone off to visit his relatives, and Mum was busy in the shop. Her twin brother Al had disappeared into the garage after breakfast to work on his top-secret science experiment, making a time machine. Lottie went to find him. Al was staring at a heap of bike parts. "Can you help me make a pond?" she asked. "Sorry," said Al. "Mum says I have to put our bikes back together and I've got all the parts muddled up." He scratched his head. "It's going to take me all day. Try asking the Parfits." Mr. Parfit and his 10-year-old son, Noah, had recently moved into the empty house next door. "Mr. Parfit won't want to help me make a pond." Lottie shuddered at the thought of what Mr. Parfit had done to his garden. It used to have grass and lots of flowers and bushes, like her own back garden. It even had a pond, perfect for frogs and insects and all sorts of wildlife. But as soon as they'd settled in, Mr. Parfit had turned it into a golf putting green with 6 holes with flags in them. "Mr. Parfit says he doesn't like nature, he likes golf." Lottie sighs. "He likes to make things neat and tidy." "What about Noah? He might help," Al suggested. "I'll see if he's around." Lottie went outside and carefully stepped up on the rim of the old flower pot next to the fence. And then she stood on that. She could see what was going on in the next garden. So Lottie meets up with Noah, and Noah does get involved and gets helping. Noah, though, he loves computers and science, and he has, in the book, he has his own next level pages about science and technology and how they can actually help nature, but he also gets in some awful puns, like, because he wants to go to Mars, he wants to be an astronaut. What do you call a peanut in a spaceship? An astronaut. Yeah. So there's lots and lots of things in this book, apart from the story, which of course involves getting into trouble with Mr. Parfit. There's Lottie's gives explanations about why every little thing matters, and she stops and thinks about every little thing she sees, like the worms. So loads of things that happen which end up with Mr. Parfit, I'm afraid, in his Martian underwear, which Noah gave him for Father's Day. So you'll have to read the book to find out how that actually happens. But you might also like to read the book because it will tell you how to make things like your own mini pond in a container. Ponds don't have to be big, and every little thing that you do helps nature, and every little thing in the garden can be helped because it's all part of a great web of life. So we must look after every little thing. And some of you, when you're doing that, you are actually being conservationists because you're helping to conserve nature. And in the back of the book, there's also a conservation corner which tells you about how some conservationists over the world are helping individual species. So there's loads and loads of things in Lottie for you to do and a story for you to read, and I hope you'll get to know and laugh at Nacho. Bye for now.